Today is Thursday, December 1st. What to know about Congress intervening to stop a major railroad strike, where two bills stand now, and reactions to it all. And history has been made in the U.S. House as someone new takes on a key leadership role. Plus, computers in our brains when Elon Musk says his company Neuralink will actually start making it a reality. Prince William's first trip to the U.S. in nearly a decade. And who were the most streamed artists on Spotify this year? Those stories and more coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It looks like that railroad strike economists have been worried about will not be happening after all. The U.S. House voted on a measure to avoid it. And assuming the Senate signs off too, this means companies and workers will have to accept the settlement the Biden administration has been pushing since September. That's the one that includes 24% raises and $5,000 in bonuses. Remember, some rail workers were holding out hoping for things like extra paid time off. Well, the House voted on another measure too that would impose 7 days of paid sick leave to address that concern. That one was also passed, but not by the overwhelming margin the first one did. Now both measures go to the Senate, and senators from both parties have already backed the measure ending the strike, so that one is expected to pass soon. The one concerning sick leave, though, is more up in the air, since some lawmakers think it should be up to the companies to sort that out themselves. Business groups and the railroad companies are praising Congress for stopping the strike, but urging lawmakers not to add that sick time, while some railroad unions have criticized the Biden administration for getting involved and taking power away from workers. Others are now at least glad to see more paid sick leave may be added to the deal. Biden is hoping to sign a bill by this weekend. Stay tuned. For the first time in American history, a black lawmaker will lead a major party in Congress. Democrats elected Congressman Hakeem Jeffries as the new House Minority Leader. He's taking over the leadership role from Nancy Pelosi, who decided to step aside when the next term starts next month. Jeffries says his goal for Democrats is to, quote, find common ground with Republicans to get things done that can make life better for everyday Americans. And working with Republicans will be especially necessary since, starting next year, the GOP will have the majority in the House. And speaking of, the next House Speaker still needs to be formally elected next month. For now, the frontrunner is Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy. But he's going to need nearly all the GOP votes, and so far it's not looking unanimous. To be continued. Interest rates are expected to go up again this month, but we might not see as big of a hike this time around. The last 4 times when the Federal Reserve bumped up the rates, they went up by 0.75 of a percentage point each time. Well, the Fed chairman said this week it would make sense to slow things down since it takes a while for these kinds of moves to really impact the economy. So economists are expecting a 0.5 percentage point hike at the Fed's December meeting. Then we could see just 0.25 point hikes next year. And once again, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said the whole point is to increase the rates enough to tame inflation, but not so much to send the economy into a recession. Just this past year, rates have gone from near zero to up to 4%, which is the highest in 15 years. The increases have made borrowing money for things like credit cards, homes, and cars more expensive. But Powell mentioned that in the meantime, things like cars, furniture, and appliances have gotten less expensive. He also says rent and other housing costs should start going down next year. But services like dining out, traveling, and healthcare are still rising, and Powell says they're going to be a lot harder to rein in. Mostly because hiring is still strong and paychecks are getting larger as companies compete for workers. A government report released this week found there are still about 1.7 open jobs for every unemployed worker. That is down from the month before, but it's still pretty high historically. People who live in the Deep South are still cleaning up from this week's storms as emergency officials survey the damage. Officials confirmed at least 4 tornadoes as part of the storm system that stretched from Louisiana to Alabama, although dozens were reported. And sadly, at least 2 people died in Alabama when a tree fell on their home. Tornadoes are not totally unheard of this time of year in the South. November averages 54 tornado reports across the U.S., and most are in southern states. What is more rare is a hurricane to strike this time of year, even though hurricane season just ended yesterday. Overall, the season was tamer than expected. Over the last 6 months, there were 14 named storms, which is about average and better than what many forecasters expected. Compare that to 2020 when there were 31. But as we know, it only takes one to do a lot of damage. And this year, that happened with Hurricane Ian in September. Remember, it ended up being the deadliest hurricane to hit the U.S. in nearly 2 decades. And it's expected to take several years for Florida to recover from it. More news is still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. I had the best experience with canvasprints.com. It was super fast and easy to order my canvas prints using some photos right off my phone. And then I was really impressed by the high-quality prints that arrived at my door in just days. I ordered a beautiful photo wall display, but I'm likely to go back because I realize you can get custom photo puzzles, and I love that idea for the holidays. Yep, you can get everything from Christmas ornaments to custom mouse pads for unique and memorable gifts for everyone on your list. They have quick shipping, but if you do want to make sure your gift is delivered by Christmas, order by December 13th. And now is a great time anyway because canvasprints.com has a special offer just for our listeners. Go to canvasprints.com and use the code newsworthy25 to get 25% off your entire order of canvas prints, canvas wall displays, metal prints, photo tiles, photo blankets and pillows, and much more. Find the perfect holiday gift for everyone on your list and save with this amazing offer. That's canvasprints.com, and don't forget to use the code newsworthy25 for 25% off your entire order. Putting small computer implants into human brains so we can just think about something to make it happen could become a reality within the next 6 months. That's at least what Elon Musk and his company Neuralink are now saying. Neuralink's implant is basically a tiny device with wires that gets attached onto a person's brain from a carved-out piece of their skull. Musk says the brain implants could help blind people see and help cure forms of paralysis. And Musk says official discussions with the FDA have gone well enough for Neuralink to schedule its first human trials in the first half of 2023. At a demo of the technology last night, Musk showed how a monkey with a Neuralink brain implant could type on a computer by just thinking about it. Though the monkey trials have led to some outrage and lawsuits from animal rights groups, Musk said they treat them humanely and that it's important to move forward since, quote, we want to be extremely careful and certain that it will work well before putting a device into a human. Britain's Prince William and the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, arrived in Boston this week. It's the royal couple's first visit to the U.S. in 8 years. One of the main reasons for their 3-day trip is to attend their second annual Earthshot Prize Awards ceremony tomorrow. It's a $1.2 million award given to a number of different activists and scientists who are working to fight climate change. But while they're visiting in the U.S., there's also some royal controversy back in the U.K. Prince William's own godmother just resigned from her position within the royal family. Lady Susan Hussey was accused of making racist comments toward a black guest during a palace event. The guest says Hussey questioned her about where she's really from after she said she's from the UK. Hussey was a longtime serving lady-in-waiting to the late Queen Elizabeth. Now, a statement from Buckingham Palace said Hussey was profoundly sorry for the incident and the hurt it caused. Airbnb is partnering with several major landlords and management companies so renters are allowed to rent out their own apartments. It's not available everywhere just yet, but Airbnb has deals with 175 different buildings in 25 different cities so far. Los Angeles, Seattle, Dallas, and Denver are just some of the markets open to Airbnb apartments right now. More are expected to be added. For the areas that do take part, Airbnb will help tenants host their rentals and help the building owners find tenants who want to host. You've probably already noticed on your social media feeds as people share their top songs and podcasts from 2022. This year's Spotify Wrapped is here, and it's continued to grow in popularity, despite its rivals launching their own versions of year-end recaps. This year's Spotify version comes with a new feature called Listening Personality. It lets people know how their musical tastes line up with others, if they're early trendsetters, for example, how unique their choices are, and more. Like always, Spotify also revealed which artists people are listening to the most. Taylor Swift, of course, did very well, coming in as the second most streamed artist in the world. The number one spot for 2022 belongs to Latin rapper Bad Bunny. He also had the most streamed album worldwide, while British singer Harry Styles created the most streamed song of 2022, which was the hit As It Was. By the way, if the Newsworthy made it onto your top podcasts of 2022, we love to see it. Post it and tag us on Instagram or Twitter at NewsworthyPod. It's time to meet People Magazine's annual People of the Year. For 2022, the honors go to Jennifer Hudson, Mila Kunis, Matthew McConaughey, and Quinta Brunson. People Magazine said it chose these 4 famous people not just for the work they do on camera, but for the work they've done to help and unite others. Actor Matthew McConaughey was picked for the leadership role he took after the school shooting in his hometown of Uvalde, Texas. Actor Mila Kunis was praised for her fundraising efforts for Ukraine. She was born there, and so far she's managed to collect $37 million for the war-torn nation. Jennifer Hudson launched a successful daytime talk show this year, but it was really her effort to create an inclusive and welcoming environment that impressed People Magazine the most. And then there's Quinta Brunson, the star and creator of the popular and Emmy-winning TV series Abbott Elementary, which has been praised for showing how different generations can work well together. Each of the 4 honorees will get their own People Magazine cover, highlighting their good deeds and efforts. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Have you ever thought about what the headlines of your life are? The reality is they are probably always changing. Career changes, family and relationship changes, location changes, the list goes on. But here's the thing, we don't have to go through these ups and downs of life without a sort of guide. Therapists can be that person for you. I've experienced it, and it's really helpful. They can pinpoint the cause of certain emotions or behaviors and present helpful strategies to cope or to just be more of the you want to be. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/newsworthy. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. It is World AIDS Day. You may see people wearing the symbol for the day, a red ribbon. While a lot of progress has been made battling the deadly virus and saving the millions of people affected by it, the World Health Organization says over the past few years, progress towards ending the global HIV epidemic has stalled. In many third world countries, AIDS is a serious and life-threatening problem. Half of the children living with HIV don't have access to the treatments they need to save their lives. President Biden says his administration is as committed as ever to the fight. He's also calling on other world leaders to do the same. Also today, former President George W. Bush and his wife Laura are being recognized for their work on combating AIDS worldwide. The Bushes are receiving the Global Leadership Award for creating the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief back in 2003. Since its beginning, the program has spent close to $100 billion and saved the lives of an estimated 21 million people around the world. All right, thank you so much for listening today. We so appreciate your support, whether that is sharing the show, leaving a review, or becoming a Newsworthy Insider. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.